We've often heard that black don't crack. Let's bring it closer home. Let's say Nigerians don't break. And we saw it on full and international display during the just concluded AFCON 2023 in Cote d'Ivoire. In fact, Super Eagles play energized our hearts and brought many together. We saw at a time like that when the Super Eagles were going from the beginning stage to the quarterfinals, to the semis, and then they were in the finals. When Nigerians gathered to watch the match, we did not think of a tribe, creed, status, gender, color, nationality even, because we know we have a lot of expertise here in Nigeria. Everyone was celebrating and roaring for the Super Eagles. From that time up till now, we've been talking amongst ourselves and we said, what an amazing unifier for Nigeria and the continent. Because when we're watching, enjoying, looking at penalties, celebrating Wabali, Osime, Ekong, even at times we praised and commended Persero, we're not thinking of, what can separate us? We're saying, this is our football, this is our team. It is important to also note that it's not only football that we talk about when we talk about sports. There's lots of other things. But this round leather game just has a thing with us. We celebrate it. We are excited that the Super Eagles got silver, but we had hoped for the gold. We know that lots of work is being done even as we speak, although Pesero is gone. There's a lot of Super Eagles nationals, veterans in the football field, who are itching to take that coaching position, and their promise, their hope, their dream is to bring back the cup next time in just 2 years. Today on Weekend Deal, we thought it fit to get you to talk and contribute as we bring to the fore sports as a national unifier. We saw it with football. We know it's happening with the Paralympians, with cricket, with tennis, with badminton, shot put, long jump. You just name it. That's why we'll talk about it here on Weekend Deal. And we need you to be a part of the show because our program is interactive. And because of the show, we'll get to meet our football host, who brings expertise to play on the show, talking about Ayodele Makinde.
Weekend Deal. You're welcome back from that break. It's still Weekend Deal on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Today's focus would be on sports and national unity. Remember, sports was actually declared as a national asset by President Muhammadu Buhari while he was in power. And surely over the years, it's been one particular thing that most of us don't joke with. Just take a look at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations when Nigeria got into the semi-final. There was no tribe, no religion, no culture, just one thing, one language, very clear, sports. Now let's take a look at this background by Francis Ogbe.
Curls it towards the near post, flick on from Chukwueze. Two-step goal! Goal Nigeria!
Sports is actually meant to be the foundation of uniting the people. You use sports to entertain the crowd. You use fun to launder the image of this country or any country at the international level. And by extension, we use sport to ensure peace exists in the various environments we are coming from. And most importantly, we use sports to unite the people.
Crowd are on their feet. Here it comes. Nabali, back post chance, goal!
All sporting activities can be used, but most importantly, globally, the most important sport which creates that impression and that impact is football. And that is exactly where I thrive. That is where God has brought me into this world to give my best, and for a very long time I've been deeply involved in it. So I've seen so much that football can do globally, and particularly for my nation, Nigeria. And we have had these particular experiences, even in Nigeria. And that has given me the opportunity to say, as I was growing into NFF, I now had a vision, and that is vision that made me to run Nigerian Football Federation. The vision of using the power of game of football globally to create a better future for Nigeria, and to make sure we use it to improve our citizens. And having finished from NFF in 2010, you can see also God used me, establishing that same vision, going back to the grassroots, identifying the children, the youths, less privileged particularly, to bring them together. And in the course of doing this, for the past 10 years, what I'm doing, nurturing these great children, I'm also seeing parents who are interested in sports, even the rich parents, are beginning to bring their children to this place. So I'm using this school to unite the less privileged and the privileged, which is difficult globally. And that's exactly what I'm doing in Nigeria, that we will use the power of game of football to create a better revenue for Nigeria, more than oil does, if we are truly articulate and package and having a defined policy that will protect what we are doing in football, because citizens are massively in love with this game. Sporting activities, irrespective of the type, is a tool of entertaining the people, bringing the people together. With ease, you bring crowd together to form a session where they would support the participants. And it is the easiest opportunity to bring people together. And I think even the traditional, like Dembe, like all those other Ayo, all those things, these are things that can douse tension in any environment. The country, the leadership are creating tense situations that is generating problem. These traditional sports, global sports, can be used to douse tension, and that is what government should be thinking about doing.
Good opportunity, little bit of space. Moses Simon down the left-hand side. Can he get a shot in? Squares it into the back of the net. Nigeria is.
All schools must have sporting curriculum defined in their system of operation. But you can see either the facilities are not there for them to use, or they are there, they are being converted for other purposes because of the type of system we are operating. These facilities are not available in the schools, and the curriculum is not properly defined. But you can see in my own school, I'm saying it must be there. 4 to 6 p.m. I grew into it. I grew into stability by saying 4 to 6 p.m. my own school days, we must play football. We must play sports. And that's what we've been doing. So it's not readily available in almost all schools now. And the government must insist through their structure, through their scheme of development, that these facilities must be available in the various schools. It's a minimum requirement which government must insist it must be available in the schools. Leadership must pick interest in this item as a very preconditional facilities to be made available for everybody to try and for Nigeria to benefit. That's what happens in developed countries that are actually wanting to sustain happiness for the society. And I think that can be done in Nigeria too. So first law particularly is to help support the development and appreciate the unique way of improving our vision of using the power of game football globally to help develop our national system. That's what I'm doing, and I think at the end of the day, Nigeria will benefit from what we're doing. So I'm grateful. Our leaders must be focused and ensure that they give our best to creating infrastructural developmental programs that people will patronize freely to identify talents from the various neighborhoods, particularly the grassroots level.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on sports for national unity.
when we talk about Nigerians' love for sports, we're not overdoing it, overtalking it. See Francis there, broadcaster turned footballer, and he had to make sure we saw him tackling. He was tackling himself, tackling the ball. This round leather game are Nigerians. In fact, our love for it, is so amazing, and that's what unifies us for the most part. We're going to Lagos now, where we know about the National Stadium. I used to go there a lot when I lived there way back in the 2010, 2011, 2012. And now from the Lagos Network Center, we get to know how Nigerians bond. We indeed are a sports-loving nation. So many sports, one people, indivisible. Lagos, tell us more.
We need to let them know, say Nigeria be African giant.
Nigeria, a multinational state inhabited by more than 250 ethnic groups speaking 500 distinct languages, all identifying with a wide variety of cultures and traditions, is truly the giant of Africa. Aside a diverse nature, music, festivals, cuisines, fashion, cultures, and the rest that unify the people, another unifying element found among our people is the love for sports and sporting activities. This can be seen from the excitement and supports recorded from my people and prowess, incredible and astonishing performances of the representative, especially in the game of football.
Comes in. Oh, it's a great goal. They got a goal, Nigeria.
All over the world, the Nigerian teams, either the Super Eagles, Golden Eaglets, or the Super Falcons, have been a force to reckon with in the game of football globally. The Golden Eagles team is the most successful in international football for their age group, winning a record of. The Super Falcons team is Africa's most successful international women's football team with a record of 11 AFCON titles, the first in 1991 and the most recent in 2018. The Super Eagles team qualified 6 times of the last 8 FIFA World Cup editions, reached round of 16 on 3 occasions, won AFCON tournament, first in 1980, in 1994 and 2013. No doubt, with the just concluded AFCON 2023, making it to the second place was a testimony of skills and unity. This was proven by accolades, encomiums, honors and rewards bestowed on the Super Eagles by the federal government. Reaching the heights gotten to today might not have been possible without the positive impact and unity-driven energy of the pace-setters and iconic players such as Rashid Yekini, JJ Okocha, Mikel Obi, and Vincent Eyama, not forgetting Kanu Nwankwo and Victor Sime, both who are African Footballer of the Year title holders.
John Mikel Obi, it's my all-time favorite Nigerian footballer because he won a lot of trophies and he motivated players in the 21st century in his time.
My favorite footballer is Victor Sime. Anytime I watch his board where he play, you really part me. You make me excited.
JJ is not only a talented player, but he's cool-headed. He's a modest and a very humble guy.
With this and more that can be achieved, a lot of factors still mitigate against sporting activities as an agent of national unity and integration.
I want them to pay more attention to grassroots development. You understand? We have a lot of talents in this country.
We do most of the things through backdoor, through influence and connections, whereas we have a lot of fantastic players from the grassroots level that can, make Nigerian proud.
The Nigerian coaches, how we treat them, we see them as, is it not this boy that started with Super Eagles before or with Green Eagles before so we look down on them. And again, the offer that we give them, okay, if you say, this person is from so country, outside the country, you want to pay in dollars. Whereas because it's in Nigeria, you want to pay in Naira equivalents. Also, the same thing happens even to our players. We don't believe in national league players in the national league. So I think if we put on our thinking cap very well, we can do more than what we are doing at present in using what we have as a people.
As a people with diverse differences, it is evident that above all odds, we will never trade anything for the little things which promote cohesion and unity in diversity. One of them, certainly, is sports.
And surely that's a very key word there. Sports is very unique and very, very crucial to Nigeria's unity. Well, good package there from our Lagos Center, and of course that will really set the tone for the discussion on today's program. And of course, already in the studio, one of those to have benefited from sports in the country. I mean, we keep going back to those days when sports was a crucial element of education and social cultural behavior, but surely those days would return, and that's why Saidu Jibril joins us now live here in the studio. Saidu Jibril is an ex-handball international, presently the Secretary General of Commonwealth Handball Association. He's also a fellow of course, as a quantity surveyor who was risen through the ranks. Now imagine someone playing sports through the age grade to become a national team player, to become an academician, to become a fellow of a professional body. Surely there's so many things that sports has to offer, Thelma.
Amazing, amazing indeed. It's great to meet you.
Thank you very much.
You know,
Good
anyone
morning.
who is vibing for Nigeria, going locally, going on the continent, going to the world to celebrate us and wear our vibrant colors, will definitely celebrate you here. It's great to have you on Weekend Deal.
Thank you very much.
You played handball, you said, from when you were 12 years. Wow. Tell us about handball in Nigeria and what your experience was for the 2 decades that you participated actively as a player in that sport.
Well, I want to appreciate the Almighty God first and thank those who have encouraged those of us during that our time of playing. I think kudos first to General Shola Williams, who happens to be the pioneer president of Handball Association of Nigeria, who deemed it necessary that the grassroots development is the basis to develop the game. And as at then, there was this little boy he came with from Germany and insisted that this game was go from grassroots. And that was why some of us, I started from Kano, and the competition was held in Ilorin in 1979-80, where we started the first ABC of handball in Nigeria. And that is where it started. From there, it now goes back to primary school, secondary school. That is where sportsmen are harnessed to be able to see how we get all our players today. Most of the national players you see, being it football, handball, volleyball, basketball, etc., all are gotten through those age category. It's very easy for the country if we desire to go back to basis, and which is what the profile we are running in Commonwealth today, telling the continents within the Commonwealth countries to go back to the grassroots, encourage them to pick up from there while we start drawing up a program that will help most continents to see what we are going to build, to see that the Commonwealth, the Anglophone countries, how will they come up in handball? If you look at it, handball is being dominated by Francophone. And the purpose of Commonwealth is to encourage the Anglophone countries. And that is where we're trying to do. It's not that handball is not moving. If you talk of other parts of the continent, the game is moving very fast. But Africa, where are we?
Indeed. You know, I was asking you what you'll be doing ingeniously. You're still telling me about the challenges we face, which we already set the ball rolling with.
Yeah.
There are challenges, but you are a veteran. You are now the helm of affairs in the Commonwealth, and you have the opportunity and tactics and relevant information to change the narrative. When we return from this break that Ayo will take us on, I have no doubt you'll tell us more.
Surely. All right, you're welcome back from that break. Now we're still talking sports and national unity, and the next feature we are going to be having on the program, it's about some rising stars and of course empowering the youth. Remember, every great sportsman or woman that you know in the world today has a humble beginning. Now let's take a look at this report by Koho. In a nation of talents and potentials, Nigerian athletes have long been shining beacons on the global and national stage. For decades, these athletes have captivated the world with their speed, strength, and sheer determination to shine. Icons like Mary Onyali, Chioma Ajunwa, and Innocent Egbunike have etched their names in sporting history, inspiring generations to come.
For us to generally as Nigerians, whether high or low, to stop thinking that sport is recreation. Sport is different from what other people go every Saturday to go and do. That is keep fit. But sport is business. We should take sport as business. With good planning, we can earn money and put money in that sport. If we change our orientation and believe that sport should be business as it's supposed to be, and we are able to attract the corporate sponsorship, it will go a long way.
There's no doubt that the presence of Nigeria spices up any major tournament.
In the world of sports, fan support is more than just the applause and roar. It is a driving force behind their strength and success. Nigerian athletes thrive on the energy and encouragement of the passionate supporters, both at home and abroad.
Experience was, initially it was a very bad one for me because I felt like getting to the finals and having to get injured. But then thinking about it over time, I just saw it as an opportunity to, experience the grace of God, and being the first person in over 25 years to get to the 100 meters finals in Olympics. It was a great one for me. Without God, I couldn't have achieved that. And all thanks to my coach and the team that was in the Olympics at that time.
Yeah, challenges we face as an athlete: injury, financial assistance, and some other factors. Then things that inspire me to go further. My seniors who have been in the events before, they tend to talk me through every part of the race and every part of my training. Maybe when I'm trying to give up, then they step in like, don't worry, this is just beginning, you're almost there.
My biggest career so far is making the team to the All-African game. This is the first time I've been invited to an international competition in the senior team. Every dream of an athlete is to climb to the epic, that's the top of the sport, that's going to Olympics and other international competitions, and also making the country proud.
I'm working towards to run a personal best, a good times that I never run, because now in Nigeria, most especially in my events, 800 meter, 1500 meter, it's been a while, which I believe that if I went to represent Nigeria at the Ghana All-African game, I'm going to break it.
Despite the challenges, a new generation of Nigerian athletes is emerging, poised to make their mark on the world stage. With talents like Toby Amuson, Ese Brume, and many more, the future of Nigerian athletics continues to shine bright.
So the challenges, basically, number one is the funds. We have problem of funds because sport is usually not totally marketable as it is in Europe. As we are preparing for the other African Games now, you will see that after we come back, lots of companies will give awards, we give money, we appreciate that. But we prefer that they give those money for preparation so that we are able to do better. They will give, because as an athlete needs to pay the coach, need to pay the physiotherapist, need to pay the chiropractor, need to pay a masseur. All these people are doing different jobs before you start paying the strength coach, paying the conditioning coach, and then the normal track coach. So a professional athlete has about 8 people in the team that is supposed to pay. But if there is sponsorship and funds, I believe that our athletes will do better, they will perform better, they will run faster, and they will be able to bring more glory to the nation.
As we celebrate the achievements of Nigerian athletes, past and present, let us come together as a nation to uplift and empower the champions of tomorrow. With unwavering support and dedication, we can propel Nigerian athletics to new heights of excellence. Together, let us continue to cheer, to inspire, and to believe in the limitless potentials of our athletes.
So aptly put together. It's that togetherness that has brought this topic to the fore today. We're together. Let us inspire. Let us cheer. Let us support. Let us fund where absolutely necessary. And Saidu Jibril is still here, Secretary General of the Commonwealth Handball Association, as well as a fellow of the Institute of Quantity Surveyors. When we hear handball, it's supposed to know that many young people may not even be familiar with the game. They've not seen it, like you said earlier, what everybody can be shouting about, and they even know. My daughter, she's 9+. She knows about 6 players in football because she was glued to the AFCON competition. How often are handballers involved in competitions on the continent and in the world?
Well, in the continent, it is peripheral, but in the world, it is virtually more or less like a weekly affair. They play the normal league we watch in European League, the La Liga, and etc.
But Nigerians involved? Is our team involved?
Some of our boys are there. We have one of our players in Spain. We have another in Uzbekistan. We have some in some of these African countries. Even Cote d'Ivoire have played league.
And they began here?
Oh, yes.
They came back for this. They are even in camp now for the All Africa Games. Some of them are invited. We are just seeking, I'm happy this program is all about love, unity among the sport, because sport is a unifying factor. And I think the only thing we can do is just for the body to help us, to give us that enabling environment, to see how we can touch those who God are blessed in this country, to touch the youth of this country, because we are ready to go back to grassroots.
Good one that Rafiu Oladipo is in Lagos, and he will be a part of our conversation.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo, as earlier introduced. I am the President General Worldwide Nigeria Football and Other Sports Supporters Club. We've been doing it for over 50 years. And we've been everywhere in the world to support sports, not just football. Like the man in Abuja just said, we have been to several countries of the world where sports is taking place. We have supported basketball, handball, weightlifting, name it, all sports. Because like I said, Nigeria is about doing what is good for this country. And that is why the Supporters Club has been in the forefront of just making it to everywhere any sports is taking place. We have been to Scotland, we have been to England supporting other sports. So we're there all the time. This Supporters Club of today has now become a movement for us, all Nigerians, to rally around together and believe in Nigeria and give Nigeria a very good and positive image. That is what we are doing now. You don't just say Supporters Club. It is now a movement that is fighting tooth and nail to bring all Nigerians together under the same umbrella and love this country and showcase our culture and the way we behave. You see, it is only when football is being played that you see every Nigerian coming together to believe that Nigeria can win. Take, for instance, what happened in Cote d'Ivoire. I was there for 33 days with all my members. We traveled through the roads to get to Cote d'Ivoire within 3 days. And we came back through the roads for almost 5 days. In fact, at a point in time, our vehicle got broken down and they were at a spot for 2-3 nights. However, what am I driving? When we were to play the final, you could see a lot of Nigerians trooping into Cote d'Ivoire. What are they coming to do? To support the Super Eagles. It means that is something we have to take in this country as a tool for a united Nigeria. We must be united. We need everybody in the world, everyone in the world to believe that Nigeria is a good sporting nation. And not just that. There are so many other negative reports about Nigeria. But when you talk of football, everybody around the world wants to listen, wants to watch, wants to be part of what Nigeria is doing. And that is why the Supporters Club has taken it to be a job for us to do, getting everybody in Nigeria to queue behind sports and then give Nigeria a befitting image.
Amazing.
Dr. Raf, I'm PG Worldwide. That's what we call you the sports fraternity. It's good to always see you. You've talked about the Africa Cup of Nations. I've witnessed so many events where when you see the Supporters Club, it brings out goosebumps. It brings out a unique level of motivation for the national team. I've seen instances where when you come out with your trumpets and your drums, the whole stadium is thrown into frenzy. Now, how crucial does this support, how crucial does it get for the national team in terms of inspiring them to go all the way? You've always told me about your experience at the 1994 FIFA World Cup in the USA, when Nigeria was actually, got to the round of 16, and most importantly, the Olympic Games in Atlanta, when even Nigeria started doubting Nigeria going into that semi-final against Brazil, and of course the final against Argentina. But you said the supporters club with the drums and the trumpets played a crucial role as a 12th man. Tell me, it's been so many years of doing this job. How can we harness this to make it a vital component of unity in the country?
Very much. I am happy that you have been part of what has been happening as far as football and sports is concerned. In that 1994, you will remember that the supporters club was adjudged to be the best in the whole world by FIFA. Why? Because we came out to showcase what our culture is like, what we can do when it comes to Nigeria as a country. And we never lost our heads. At every point in time, we support our team, particularly when the team is coming in and you hear that sound. Jagun, jagun, lombo. Jagun, jagun, lombo. Olórí ogun, kò gbọdọ̀ kẹ́yìn ogun. Jagun, jagun, lombo. That is the way to erect the team into the stadium, inspiring them to know what is at stake, so that they will want to give you the best and they will want to give Nigeria a very good image. Even after losing out in the second round, you will still remember that at the end of the whole show, FIFA now came out to say the Nigeria Football Supporters Club is the best group in the world. And in Trinidad and Tobago, the former president of FIFA, Sepp Blatter, said one word, and I'm quoting him verbatim: on no account should the members of Nigeria Football Supporters Club be missing out of any FIFA organized tournament. That speaks volumes. But beyond that, our players, they understand that we are the 12th player of the team. 11 of them will be playing at the point in time. The 12th player is on the stand, which is the supporters club. And we come out with songs to inspire them. They understand our songs. So they change their system. They change their rhythm to the winning mentality, and then they want to do the best for Nigeria. In Cote d'Ivoire, a player, I'm not going to quote his name now. I'm not to mention his name, but I will quote what he said. When we see Dr. Rafiu Ladipo and his team, we are sure that success is assured. And that came to play. That is to tell you that the supporters club, that it's now a movement. And you could see, I was at the airport on the final. I saw over 3,000 Nigerians, all of them coming in different airplanes, and all of them wearing Super Eagles t-shirt. What are they coming to do? To support the cause of Nigeria. So I want this country to use that same aspect, that same tool, to get us united and believe in Nigeria, that we as Nigerians must support the cause of Nigeria, whether in football, whether in basketball, whether it's in weightlifting or other sports. That means we can use sports to get us united as a nation.
Indeed. That's a nice one, Dr. Rafiu. Of course, we met several times in Lagos, and you are very passionate about Nigeria, its wins, its unity, its goals and objective and success at all levels. Amazing. Little doubt you have put in all you have into the supporters club. You were doing it for many years and you're still doing it at the helm of affairs. Do you know this gentleman here?
Like I said, we are ready to go with you to wherever you want us to be. But you must inform us of your programs. You must tell us your programs, and then we have to plan for such a thing. Because in supporters club, what we do are projects. projects for football, projects for basketballing, projects for boxing. If you want to know, today I'm the president of the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control in Nigeria. And you can see that since I became the president, the fortunes of boxing has changed so much that every week now we have championship and tournaments held either in Abuja, in Oka, in Enugu, in Ibadan, in Benin, all over Nigeria. So I want you to give us your program of activities so that we can work with you and your sports can be supported like we are supporting football. Football too, in those days, were not supported this way. But since I became its chairman in 1990, I'm moving to the office of the President General worldwide in the year 2000. You could see that we have been part of almost every football games. Football is not just the only sport in Nigeria. We want to support other sports so that your own sports can be and become like football, that everybody is now taking up to say, oh, this is something that we have to support. We want to be supporting you.
Continue this conversation, but in the course of the week, last week we had the opportunity to have a chat, a sit down with the Honorable Minister of Sports Development, that is Senator John Owa-Eno. We'll have that conversation, we'll showcase what we discussed, but that'll be after we take our break on Weekend. And keep your messages coming in. We want you to share your experiences, your hopes and aspirations for sports as a unifier in Nigeria. Don't go away.
All right, it's still Weekend Deal on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. For many years, the sports sector in the country was dominated by the National Sports Commission. Over the last few years, it's been a big clamor for that particular commission to come back for the professional handling of sports management in the country. In August 2023, Senator John Owa-Eno became the Minister of Sports Development in the country, marking a different era from those days when it was known as the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. Now, the Weekend Deal crew caught up with the Minister of Sports Development in Abuja, and he also spoke about the uniqueness of sports in uniting the country.
Thank you. We're having a discussion with the Honorable Minister for Sports Development, Senator John Owa-Eno, and it's an honor and a privilege to have this chat with you, Honorable Minister.
Thelma, it's mine as well. Welcome.
Thank you for having the time. Okay, first off, let me ask you, Honorable Minister, you were a senator, and now you are heading the big, very impactful ministry for sports development. How has your purview changed?
Well, the difference is that, as senator, I was in the legislature. And, I'd spent all my previous years in public office in the legislature. And as Minister of Sports Development, the executive. It's if there's one thing that has changed, is the fact that as Minister of Sports Development, I think I've come to appreciate sports more and more, much more than I ever did, as a lawmaker. It's, the reason why I think about a month ago, I think in a chance interaction with the Accountant General of the Federation, and I spoke to her so very passionately about what in my experience has been and my appreciation, and she asked, it took her having to be sports minister to know about all of this, and that she had a chance to also work in the Ministry of Sports, and that, for everyone who does have a chance to have an experience firsthand with sports development, the experience has always been so different from an outside perspective. So for me, I now appreciate it more and more, measurably and reasonably, talk about how important it is.
We saw the unifying factor that sports is for Nigerians all over the world, not just in our country, Nigeria, and it led us to birth this topic. We saw AFCON. We watched with keen excitement as the Super Eagles took us to level after level, and it enriched the way we appreciate ourselves and our country. Now, after AFCON, we hear that Pesero is going. Won't that have an impact on the performance of the Super Eagles in the long run, do you think?
I wish I didn't have to be dragged into matters about, Coach Peseiro, whether he's going or whether he's not going, and all that. I don't think it's. But you are right. AFCON was so impactful. I've had cause to say a number of times that at some point it did seem like the whole country was involved in AFCON. The last Cup of Nations won't be the first, but I think that it will be the first to have that kind of impact in several years. What it is, for example, is that going forward, every passing moment and year, sports, and especially Nigerian football, is going to remain as impactful. I say especially Nigeria because it also does appear that every country has, amidst a number of sports that its citizens are going to be involved and interested in, there does seem to be one or two that will always remain the most followed, the most popular. The challenge for Nigeria, the challenge for football, and our challenge is a lot beyond whether Coach Peseiro stays or not. The fact that perhaps you have a driver doesn't mean that you're going to hand over the entire tax of a journey 100% into the hands of that driver. So given how much football matters to Nigerians, given how much it contributes to the excitement and to the joy, and all of Nigerians, you find yourself as Minister of Sports Development, I think you'll also make some extra effort beyond the fact that the NFF is independent and has to take those decisions. But I think there are also some inputs, some ideas that you also would like to share.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Minister. After 100 days in office, there are some areas you identified that can be challenging or can limit the growth and development that sports can bring to Nigeria. One of them was funding, another was logistics. Where are we today?
It's still work in progress. It's about 6 months on this job. I'm glad that in the last AFCON, we had the kind of tremendous support that we had from the president. Uncommon, unusual support, and the management of that support too, in terms of the funds that were approved and they were released to the last kobo. For the first time in a long time, we could go to a major tournament and come back home without any scandals, without any complaints, without any of that. Going forward and sitting on this chair for as long as I have, the question is, for how much longer is government going to continue to play that role? How many more times as Sports Development Minister am I going to meet the president and ask him to approve several billions of naira for the sake of sports development and for the sake of sports funding? We are where we can't say yet that we've been able to achieve a sustainable funding model for sports. We're not there yet. But I think that there is a determination and commitment on my part and that of my team and the ministry to make sure that the funding issues and problems that have existed almost like forever. If you are a corporate player in Nigeria, you're a private businessman, and you saw us through AFCON and saw how much the country came together as one because of sports, because of football, how much of that matters to you? If it does matter to you, how much more are you willing to see how you can contribute to the growth of this game and sports and all of that? The practice in most countries, the UK, Canada, and all that, is that lottery trust funds are put in place to reasonably take care of sports funding. We have a lottery trust fund in Nigeria that has lasted for years. In the last 5, 6, 7 years, not one kobo has come for sports development. How much of that can change?
One of the areas you are very excited about and very keen to develop is sports at the grassroots. How much inroad have you made in that regard?
Grassroots sports is so significant. It's so significant because unless we get it right, we are soon going to have a dearth of sportsmen and women that are able to compete at the international and national levels. As a country, because of our thirst and desire for laurels and for victories, there seems to be too much emphasis and focus on competitions. But you see, we need to be able to see how we can balance these two out, competitions and development. Because unless we spend effort developing, then even those competitions that we're interested and the victories that we're expecting will no longer be coming. In the 2024 budget, we have about 6 zonal offices in this ministry. In the last couple of years, they've almost not existed. They've existed only on paper. So we have been careful to see how we can bring back to life the various zonal offices. Because the various zonal offices are going to be the anchor point for grassroots sports development. A lot of the competitions that we're looking and expecting, to originate from the grassroots are going to be coordinated and supervised by our zonal offices. So we're not kidding about this, we're not joking about this, because we think that the future of our sports is going to depend so much on what takes place at the grassroots. You don't do national youth games on a yearly basis and there is nothing coming out of it. Unless there is value added to the products of these games, people are going to get tired of these games. So for the first time, the ministry is interested in seeing how we can monitor the growth and the progress of those who have won medals and laurels out of these games. We're interested in seeing how much collaborations and partnerships we're able to bring to bear and see how many scholarships we can get from most of these people. And we think that it's only in doing so that we can continue to enrich. There must be a transition from grassroots sports to elite sports. It's at the elite level that we begin to see the competitions and the competitive level of the various sportsmen and women that we got.
There's talk about the 13th African Games in Ghana that's going to start in March. We're already in March now. What are your expectations for the Nigerian contingent?
At the very beginning, my expectations, are quite modest. Not because we haven't worked and planned enough for these games. It's, very early ahead of the African Games, one of the things I set up what we call Ministerial Strategic Committee on podium finishing. How many times in the course of these games would the Nigerian flag be hoisted because we have won a medal, gold, silver, or whatever? We've had about 2 sessions with the different sporting federations. We've had with the Secretary General of Federations and all that. After the first retreat that talked about this, everybody came out of it quite happy that this was being done in about 6 different locations across the country. We've had to organize camping. Because these games are specific, we thought it necessary as a ministry to organize camping. So we can have all our athletes in one place, one location, see how we can further improve on what they've done. And that is currently on. My expectations may be modest, but that's not to mean, for example, that I don't have confidence in the caliber and crop of our sportsmen and women that are going to compete in Ghana. We're going to continue to urge them on, to cheer them on. So the number of times that Nigerians are going to appear at the podium to collect various medals they're going to win is going to be very defining of the extent of our respect within the African continent and globally. Because as these games and sports go on, AFCON, it wasn't only Africa that was watching, it had a global audience. So the global visibility that brings is something that you cannot cost.
Amazing. Team Nigeria for life. Okay, let's look at this group of people. We call them special people. And over time, they've been able to carve a niche for themselves and for Nigeria. They're often in wheelchairs, but when they go out there to any field, as long as sports is the tag, they do well for Nigeria. How focused are you on this special group of people?
One of the hallmarks of sports is its inclusiveness. There's about no sector that can pride itself as being more inclusive than sports. And it's been demonstrated. Just like you have the Olympics coming up in July, that's how you have soon afterwards the Paralympics. The Paralympics would respond or reply to the Olympics itself. And that's at the global international level. Back in our country, about December or thereabout, we had the national Paralympic Games that took place in Abuja. They say there is ability in disability. We're not oblivious of that fact. And I think that we're also not ignorant of the fact that somehow, if you look at the medals tally that have been won between the different Olympics that have taken place, the Paralympic athletes, the para-athletes have actually won us more, much better than the abled athletes. So we have every reason to concentrate on this class of athletes, not just because they're going to win for us or they continue to win for us more medals, but also for them to have the feeling of inclusiveness. And by that fact, the ministry is very particular about this set of athletes. At some point, it always does seem as if all we are doing is about the para-athletes. And these are people you can't ignore. And I thank them for their own doggedness as well. And in all that we do, there's always a component that responds to their own needs as well. And that as we prepare for the Olympics, we're also preparing for the Paralympics, and are very sure that, like at all times, they will continue to do much better, and they continue to give more and more glory back to our country.
Let's look at other sports. You know, Chioma Ajunwa took us somewhere in the world and made Nigeria, brought us to the world map and world table with a gold in long jump. Going forward now, 10 months left in the year, what area will you be focused on in terms of building champions who will stand on the continent and also in the world?
One of the first things you get confronted with when you're appointed sports development minister, and I wasn't an exception to this, is that because of the interest of our country and the massive followership of football, every journalist who meets you would say, let's hope you're not going to be a football minister. And I've tried to do some good balancing act, between football and the rest of the sports, but trying to give as much attention as I can. But it's tricky. Try as you try, football will continue to be football. And certain times, it's not even you who creates it. I do so many other things with different other sports, but I get the greatest publicity when I do for football. The same thing I'm doing for other sports. So certain times, it's not just about me and my interest or what I'm doing. It's also about a certain bias, even in terms of coverage, in terms of reportage, in terms of all of that. But I just like to assure that, if you're looking at sports as some kind of avenue to tackle unemployment, job creation, poverty alleviation and all that, it is to our interest to see how many more sports we're going to continue to give encouragement to. Because after all, not everybody is going to play football. Sometime last month, I had to leave here to go to encourage a certain sport that was taking place, attending the World Cup for the first time, somewhere in faraway South Korea. The Nigerian curling team was appearing in that tournament, the Winter Youth Games, for the first time. I had to go to encourage those young lads. So we're going to continue to do so. You mentioned Chioma Ajunwa. Chioma Ajunwa won for us gold at the long jump in Atlanta, 1996. That same Atlanta, we won the football gold for the first time. That will be the first time in Nigeria's history of Olympics, participation, that Nigeria came home with a gold, in this case, 2 gold medals. Unfortunately, we've not earned any more gold since after 1996. This government is about breaking old records. Breaking records is about bringing back, celebrating things that were normal before, but things that we've missed out too severally. And I'm looking at the Olympics. And I know that you don't achieve such successes without planning. There must be a system. You must be strategic about it.
Amazing, amazing. If people thought that the man at the helm of the Sports Development Ministry was resting on his oars, you're seeing it live and direct. An exciting, captivating, and very enlightening chat you have given us today, Honorable Minister. Thank you so much for your time. And we wish you well as you go out to the organized private sector to get what they will put in to sports development for all of Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. My last word is that I think Nigerians should keep supporting Team Nigeria. We should keep supporting our sports. It's our surest way and an answer to so many of the myriad of problems that we got as a country. We should spend no effort in trying to see how much contributions we can make to the growth of our sports, whatever we are.
Time now to go over to Lagos. Of course, we're rounding off on the show, and Dr. Rafiu Ladipo, PG Worldwide. It's always good to hail you any day, anytime. Let's have your final thoughts on the program.
I listened to the Honorable Minister, and when we talk of sports, we must not only engage in competitions, we must go back to the grassroots to discover all these young talents that can be assisted and developed to become champions of the world. That is that. As for Nigeria, I want to request, if I plead with Nigerians, to start supporting sports, not just football, all sports, because that's the only area where we can go out there and sell ourselves positively, and in return, it will give us positive image outside this country. There are so many things happening in this country that we cannot be talking about, but if we talk of sports, sports, it's something else. And when sports is taking place, every person around the world will want to see what Nigeria will be able to do. So it is in view of that that I want us all to know that sports can unite us. Sports can bring peace and joy to this country. Sports can bring even money, like all the sportsmen that have taken part in sports. Many of them are now good breadwinners and employers of labor. So if we support sports, our sports will grow better. And the only way you can do that is to be a part of what is going on in this new movement.
Thank you, Dr. Rafiu. Thank you, Dr. Rafiu. We appreciate your contribution, immense contribution, not just to the program, but to Nigeria through the Nigeria Supporters Club. Amazing. He's been at the helm for so many years, and you can see he's powerful and unrelenting. Yes, he's still bringing new initiatives. You know, we hardly said a word about the Super Falcons. Did you? They are doing great on the continent. How are they faring in the world?
Well, they're almost at the cusp of qualifying for the Olympics. That'll be the first time they'll be playing at the Olympics since 2008 in Beijing. Now they need to play against the Banyana of South Africa in the final round of qualification.
Should we be worried?
A little. South Africa seems to have been an albatross in the last few years to the Super Falcons. So we'll have to be wary of them being a banana peel.
But just like we brought it all out for Ekong, Osime, and the Super Eagles, we are going to bring it all out for the Super Falcons.
As Agbabola, you know now.
We never said that. We got what it takes, and we're going to trash them. Your final thoughts.
Thank you very much for the privilege given to us. And I think all we need from the country, as we say, unity in diversity, love in the game. Sport is a unifying factor. We need the government, just as the Honorable Minister has said, there are opportunities, and I want to concur with the statement of Rafiu, saying that competition alone is not the basis of sport development. We should encourage the grassroots. We can only encourage the grassroots if all things made equal, which is enabling environment. If the environment is enabled, the youth are willing. And we in the sports cycle will be willing to put in all our best to ensure that the grassroots is not dead. And we'll keep looking up to government.
We usually hold hands. We hold hands when we want to say goodbye on the show. Yes. We hold hands just to showcase what we're talking about. National unity. Irrespective of tribe, color, gender. Nigeria is one. We are together. Sports is a business. Remember Nigeria. God bless Nigeria. Dr. Rafiu.
Dr. Rafiu.
Nice to have had this chat with you. Bye-bye.